household. You know, everybody played. My mother and dad were both classical pianists. My brother and sister took piano lessons. I was the youngest of 3 kids, so, you know, I got it by osmosis. I never took a lesson in my life. But, you know, my brother started playing folk guitar, and one day I picked it up and started figuring out, you know, E, D, and A. And then one day I went to my friend's house, and he had just gotten an electric guitar, turned up the amp and hit a chord, and that was it. Love at first sight, you know. I've had a love affair with the guitar ever since. My very, very first group was called the Four Roses. Hey, I didn't name the band. It was the Four Roses, and then we had the Exterminators, and much later, let's see, there was a group called Honey. In fact, the poster, the flyer is in the book, on the page in the book that has some of my graphic work. And there was a group called, and probably the last group I was in before Kiss was Malimo. And I think Malimo is a Portuguese word that means music of the forest. And we actually recorded at RCA Studios, you know, where Frank Sinatra did it, you know. And we were supposed to get a deal, and somehow the thing fell through. But, you know, we recorded like, you know, 4 or 5 songs. And that was my first taste of recording in the studio. And subsequently, Kiss was the next step. And, you know, those guys were advertising that band with recording contract. You know, I showed up, and after I joined the group, they go, well, we actually don't have a deal. So, you know, that took a while, you know. And we got Neil Bogart on board, Bill O'Coin, Neil Bogart, and we were the first group on Neil Bogart's label. Well, I used to play an Epiphone when I was about 18, 19, kind of like the Steve Marriott model used in Humble Pie. But I didn't get my first Les Paul until we got our first record deal with Kiss. I walked into Manny's Music, and, you know, pulled the Sunburst out of the case and said, "That's it." And from then on, it's been a big love affair between me and the Les Paul guitar. You know, I'm thrilled and thankful that I've had the pleasure to hang out with Les Paul and jam with him at the Meridian. Just a sweetheart of a guy, you know, one of the most innovative guys in history as far as electric guitar is concerned. My favorite Kiss album, you know, there's so many of them. Probably, you know, the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart was probably the first one, because it was you know, that was the special thing. You know, we had Eddie Kramer come in and actually record our demo at Electric Lady Studios. You know, and then the actual album was recorded by Kenny Kerner and Richie Wise. But that first album was a real special thing. You know, I was real green. We all were, and you know, over the years, I've come to realize that performing live and performing in the studio are like 2 completely different animals. And a lot of guys don't understand that. You know, there's great musicians that are great live, but sometimes they struggle in the studio. And early on, I struggled a little. And only at this point in my life am I really comfortable. You know, I've owned a couple of recording studios of my own. And, you know, the actual last album I put out in 2009, Anomaly, I produced it myself. And I got the process down, you know, but, you know, playing live and recording in the studio, you know, you got to be, you know, live, you don't care if you make a mistake, you don't care if you know, you're a little flat or a little sharp. In the studio, it's got to be right. A lot of times lately, I've been writing a lot of songs on acoustics, you know. I got like a, you know, big-bodied Gibson, and there is something about certain guitars kind of push you in a direction of a different kind of way to write. You know, when I have an electric guitar in my hands, you know, I'm always, you know, going more towards riff songs. But, you know, something with a lot of strumming and stuff, you know, a lot of times will you know, manifest itself on an acoustic and later on, you know, be transferred onto an electric. Well, this is pretty much an exact copy of my guitar I used at the Budokan in the 70s with Kiss. You know, I've been playing it this afternoon, and, you know, the neck feels exactly the way it was, the frets. Yeah, it's good. I recommend it highly. I say, I mean, I customized the original one. I originally had black pickups. I put cream pickups in. I changed the back plates to cream because I just thought it looked cool. I put banjo tuning pegs on instead of the standard Gibson ones. Just like a motorhead would, customize a car. I do that with guitars. And I mean, in the book, there's a picture made with this teardrop with points cut out because I used to saw them up. I was always taking chances. And of course, as you know, over the years, I've had guitars that shoot rockets, smoke billows out of them, lights, the whole 9 yards, shooting rockets. It's great.